รายงานพิเศษเช้าวันนี้ค่ะนำเสนอบางส่วนของเทปสัมภาษณ์นางองซานซูจีผู้ที่ได้รับการยกย่องว่าเป็นนักต่อสู้เพื่อประชาธิปไตยคนสำคัญของโลกนะคะซึ่งปีนี้เธอก็ได้กลับเข้ามามีบทบาททางการเมืองของพม่าอีกครั้งหนึ่งหลังจากที่ถูกกักบริเวณอยู่ในบ้านเกือบ20 ปีค่ะและนอกจากจะได้เดินทางไปรับรางวัลโนเบลสาขาสันติภาพแล้วนะคะก็ยังได้มีโอกาสพบปะกับบุคคลสำคัญจากหลายประเทศรวมถึงประธานาธิบดีบารักโอบามาของสหรัฐอเมริกาด้วยค่ะ CNN เขาก็ถือโอกาสระหว่างที่เธอเดินทางไปสหรัฐเนี่ยนะคะสัมภาษณ์ถึงมุมมองต่างๆซึ่งเธอบอกว่าบางครั้งก็รู้สึกอายที่ได้รับความสนใจมากๆค่ะ
It's a pleasure.
I see you in these amazing public events now, accepting finally the Congressional Gold Medal, the Nobel Peace Prize. You get a hero's welcome. You look visibly pained when people are standing up in these prolonged standing O's. Is it weird for you?
No, it's. I appreciate it very much, but sometimes I feel a little embarrassed.
Why embarrassed?
It doesn't seem right for anybody to get so much attention.
And yet what you've done has been so dramatic. What do you think is your greatest achievement? If you had to sum it up, what would you say has brought you these Congressional Gold Medals, the Nobel Prize?
I don't think it's yet time to say what my greatest achievement is. I think I have received these prizes for the efforts I've made to reach the goal that all my countrymen and women would like to reach.
Do you call now for the end of sanctions against Burma, Myanmar? Do you think the export sanction particularly should be lifted now?
You mean the imports into the United States?
Exactly, export
yes.
from Burma.
That's right. Well, I think it should be lifted now. It can't really be lifted yet, but there can be a waiver. And I would very much support such a move because I think it's time we gave our people a chance to show what they can do. And I've said before that we can't depend on external support forever to achieve our own ends. We'll always appreciate what our friends do, and I hope that they will continue to do whatever is necessary. But we must also take responsibility for our own destiny.
So it's time to let the minerals and the gas and all the riches be able to be imported into this country?
Yes, provided there's transparency and accountability.
You're now working with a former general. Ten Sen is now the president of your country. These are the people who prevented you from seeing your husband, who kept your children separated from you, not to mention the oppression in your country itself. Tell me what it is like to now have to be a politician and work with this group of people.
I've never thought that what they did to me was personal anyway. It is politics. And if you decide to go into politics, you have to be prepared to put up with these kind of problems. I like a lot of the generals. I'm rather inclined to liking people.
That would sound pretty dramatic for people to hear, that you like the generals.
Well, I've always got on with people in the army. You mustn't forget that my father was the founder of the Burmese army, and this is why I have a soft spot for them, even though I don't like what they do. That's different from not liking them.
I'm stunned.
Are you really?
Yes, I'm stunned.
I think it's perfectly natural for me to feel this way.
Do you remember what it was like that time when you faced the soldiers and their rifles pointed at you and you walked straight towards them?
That was a long time back.
Do you remember it?
Yes, of course.
What went through your mind? People held back, but you didn't. You walked straight towards them.
Well, I wasn't given much choice because, first of all, they said, you must all move to the side of the street. So I said, fine. So I said, let's walk on the side of the street. And then he said something like that he would shoot whether or not we were on the side of the street or on the street itself. Then I decided I might as well be on the street.
You talk about the sanctions. There seems to be something of a debate about how actually effective and instrumental the sanctions were in causing these reforms and causing the military dictatorship to pave the path towards democracy. Are you convinced that sanctions actually did it?
Of course, it wasn't sanctions alone that brought about the reforms, but I think sanctions played a very, very important part. After all, if not, why is it that the Burmese government has been asking for the removal of sanctions? I think they were politically very effective. I do not agree that they affected the Burmese economy that much. I always quote the IMF and say that they have come to the conclusion that the Burmese economy was not that much affected by the sanctions, and what had created the mess in Burma was simply mismanagement.
So you think politically and psychologically
yes,
they were more effective?
I think so.
And what do you expect for the next set of elections in 2015? Do you expect to become the majority?
I think it's too early to think of 2015, and I think the next 2 years are the more important ones. How we develop into a working democracy, and that will decide what the 2015 elections will be like.
When we last talked, you warned against reckless optimism. Do you think that the optimism about Burma, Myanmar is reckless these days, or do you feel it's now on a solid path?
I think on the part of some it's still reckless. I have to mention my favorite economist who works in Burma, Sean Turnell, and he talks about a gold rush of investors, and I do not want that sort of thing. This is what I mean by reckless optimism. It will not help our country, and I think it might disappoint the investors as well. So I want everybody to consider what they are doing and to weigh the pros and cons, and to do what is best for our country as well as for themselves. I want investors to profit. That's what investing is all about. Their investments must bear fruit, but that fruit should be shared between our people and the investors themselves.
ค่ะนั่นก็เป็นหนึ่งในบุคคลที่น่าสนใจมากที่สุดของโลกเลยนะคะที่สำคัญอยู่ในประเทศเพื่อนบ้านของเรานี่เองก็เป็นนักการเมืองคนสำคัญค่ะ